There's no place like home, which is why Courtney Crutchfield is saying goodbye to Missouri and headed back to Arkansas. Let's grade the move. Welcome on into SEC Unfiltered. He's Dave Shumate. I'm Cole Thompson. And today we talk about the Hogs landing a former Tiger for the long-term future. Real quickly, make sure that you like the video, hit the ring notification, and subscribe to the channel because we talk college football every single day. Download the podcast version of the show wherever you get your podcast listening systems. Follow us on the socials. Link is in the description. Follow Dave at Mach 10 Sports. Me and Miss Cole Thompson, and check out all of our great work found at SECUnfiltered.com. This episode is brought to you by our friends over at PrizePicks, the official sponsor of the SEC Unfiltered Tour. Go to PrizePicks.com and use the promo code SECU at signup to get a $50 instant play when you deliver your first $5 or more lineup. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not just for college football. It's for the hardwood. If you believe that your team is going to score 25.5 points per quarter, make sure that you throw down a little bit of cash. If you believe that your starting running back is going to go off for 220 yards, hit the over. And when you do so, go to the #1 fantasy college app in the country, prizepicks.com. Use the promo code SECU for a $50 instant play. Dave, there's not a lot to go off of when it comes to Courtney Crutchfield. He is a very unknown commodity, but maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's something to where you look at what a team like Arkansas needs, what a team like Arkansas can utilize him for, and especially after the way they played during the Liberty Bowl, the growth and the maturity we saw of several of those receivers, that might end up allowing him to grow into a small-time player. Within 2 years, we're talking about as an all-conference type name.
Yeah, again, like you mentioned off the top of your head, I don't even know if we talked to Arkansas over there, they know what they're about to get, but we talked about it previously when we've done some other videos with them. Like, they have to replace some of these bodies. They almost got to get some bodies in there and just kind of let it work itself out in the spring. It's almost like an audition in the spring. So, I mean, what have you brought in now? I'm looking at it now according to this. So they brought in Omega Blake, who we talked about in the interview, Raylan Sharp from Fresno State, and Cam Shanks from UAB, and now our guy Courtney Crutchfield. So having to replace a lot, again, we talked about replace one of the more underrated players in the league, was just on a pretty average team in Andrew Armstrong. I don't know if you're going to get that replacement from anybody, and I think they know that. It's going to be a little bit more of a money ball approach. They're not willing to go spend a lot of money at the receiver spot. To each his own. We'll see if the strategy works. They're probably in the 200, 400 grand range for all these guys here. So they're just trying to put a makeshift wide receiver room together, see if it pays off.
Well, again, Crutchfield was the number 75 overall recruit in the 2024 cycle. He also was the number 18 wide receiver recruit, according to 247 Sports. He was considered one of the hot names in the SEC. A lot of teams wanted him. Tennessee was after him. Auburn was after him. Ole Miss was after him. Texas A&M was after him. Mizzou got him. And now he sticks around for another year. We only saw him play in 2 games. Didn't do much in those 2 games. It was against Murray State and it was against UMass. You're not going to find out who you are as a receiver. The thing is that a guy like Courtney Crutchfield, to me, that is your cherry on top. It's the sweet treat that is maybe going to be the most savory part of the sundae that you know is going to be a flavorful, an impact. It's going to be a reminder of how great the rest of the meal was, but it's not the baseline. A guy like Omega Blake with 1 year of eligibility, you expect to come on in and be a dominant force, or at least a quality number 1 or number 2 receiver. When you talk about guys like Shanks, you expect him with multiple years of experience underneath his belt to come on in and be a difference maker from the get-go, or at least a quality role player. Crutchfield's a dude to where you'll remember him. You'll be thankful that you have him on your team. You'll be thankful that you get to learn and grow and figure out what he is best at moving forward. But if you're asking me, day one, he comes on in and is better than every single person that is already on the roster in Fayetteville. He's better than any other transfer. I think that you're asking a little bit too much. But you need wide receivers. You need guys that can fit this Bibutrino system. You need guys that can build around Taylor Green for the long term. And you need to be able to take pressure off of Taylor Green by saying, we have weapons that can work on every single level of the field. We get you a vertical threat. We get you an intermediate route runner. We get you a guy who can turn short slants into 25-yard gains. We got a stable run game. We're adding in more of an offensive line. I think that that's what you're doing. I think when you add in a guy like Courtney Crutchfield, it's kind of like the anomaly of all anomalies. We don't know what he is. Neither does he. Maybe we'll find it out along the way.
Yeah, I mean, out of the portal, he's a kid you want to bring back in. You have the prior relationship, recruiting him a class ago. He's from the state of Arkansas, from the Pine Bluff area. You should have enough information. And again, where most teams miss in the transfer portal, it's not the talent level for the most part. It's the kid's motivation. Is he homesick? Is he a good kid? Is he going to be a kid that goes to tutoring? Is he going to fail drug tests? Like him being in state, you have those connections with the high school coach. You have the prior relationship in recruiting. You know the family. You should be able to know what you're getting, and I think that's a win in itself. And obviously, the ability's there. I mean, he plays to his ability. Yeah, he's gonna have a productive season in Fayetteville next year. But overall, yeah, I mean, I don't know how you could dislike the take. Again, will it pan out to be a great take? TBD. But I think it was worth the risk.
What's really interesting now is that this is the second player that initially told Arkansas, no, I'm not going to be here. I'm not coming in, to then say, you know what? Yeah, I am actually coming in. Braylon Russell, running back, says, I'm going to go in the transfer portal 2 different times. And Sam Pittman's like, let me show you the light, son. Let me bring you back to what is Hog City on a Saturday afternoon out at Razorback Stadium. And Courtney Crutchfield initially committed to Arkansas when he was coming out of high school in Pine Bluff, then goes to Missouri, now going back to Arkansas. So we are seeing a pattern that there are people that want to give Arkansas a second chance. There is belief inside the locker room of what Sam Pittman is preaching going into next year. Bobby Petrino's not leaving, which I think is really good for the offense. It's really good for Taylor Green. It's really good for the passing attack. Maybe this will pan out. Let's go ahead and grade the move, Dave, as we always do. Elite, all league, winnable plus, winnable minus. We're not going to talk about Jag. What about a guy like Courtney Crutchfield? Again, we talk about some of these wide receivers, these quarterbacks that have such little tape. There is no tape on a guy like Courtney Crutchfield. And what there is, you're not judging him at all simply because UMass and Murray State don't give you a good void of what is his overall upside.
Yeah, you're totally projecting here off the high school film, which is fine. I mean, he's only 1 year removed from that. So, I mean, that's fine. I mean, it's what you're going to have to do. Again, going through it quickly, I'm sure we got some Arkansas people that have joined and listened before, but elite, we're not going to give that out. It's the rare dudes here. I mean, you're talking about an elite wide receiver. You're thinking like Jerry Jeudy out of high school is who I think about there from a portal perspective, like a Jamison Williams. Again, he was a kid that didn't have a ton of production at Ohio State, but all league, that's not going to be there much either. That's another big time player. Those are just top 2 categories for certain guys. Most of your roster is going to be at the winnable plus stage here. And again, this came from the Kirby Smart tree. The old saying was if we could hit 5 out of 7 of the 10 guys when we're grading our own roster, because Kirby would grade his roster as a staff, or does still, twice a year with this grading system. Well, they'll grade their own roster and be, hey, where did we miss? A lot of teams don't do that. I think fans would be a little surprised. But if you can get 6 to 7 out of 10 here, that's phenomenal. Most NFL scouts will tell you they'd be fired up if they hit 5 out of 10 guys. Winnable minus. No, don't look at the minus as a bad thing. It's a guy that you can win with, but not because. You're going to surround him with some other guys. We talk about it, wide receiver, offensive line, defensive line, or positions that this incorporates in perfectly. I'm going to go winnable minus here, Bear. I don't really know how you could go winnable plus right now because there's nothing proven at the college level that says I can win because of this guy. Now, again, as we mentioned, Arkansas's losses at the receiver spot. They're bringing in all these bodies. We mentioned Omega Blake. He's going to fit into that. And I think about the 4 to 5 guys they bring in from the portal ultimately after the spring, it's just going to have to sort itself out, these top 3 to 5 guys. But they add in some offensive line pieces, maybe a potential receiving threat at the tight end spot. We know they have the foundational piece with Taylor Green. I'm going to go winnable plus. I don't hate this. He's from the state. You can definitely take worse prospects or at least make another run on this kid. Again, he's got 3 years of eligibility. 4, really.
Did you say winnable plus or winnable minus?
Minus.
Okay, just making sure. It's winnable minus. There's just nothing on him. Like, that's the problem. If you gave me, like, say, 200 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns with Brady Cook, or if he was working with Drew Pine, maybe you could have a little bit more of a potential. But there's nothing to go off of. There's no stats. We're going off of his high school tape. And again, from a high school perspective, really talented playmaker, top 20 wide receiver in the country coming on out in 2024, top 100 prospect. He's from the state of Arkansas. He's going to be playing in front of the hometown crowd. There's something about representing your state that means a little bit more. And I think that those 3 years of eligibility, it gives you time to, number one, develop him how you see fit. If you think that there is only a specific role that he can play in 2025, you're okay with that. But if not, it's also okay because you got 2 more years of eligibility after that to where maybe he is a guy that we're talking about in 2026 as a breakout candidate. Maybe he's a guy going into 2027, his senior year, where he's a 1,000-yard receiver, an all SEC type player. But there's nothing to go off of right now. So it's a winnable minus only because of when you look at Omega Blake, when you look at Shanks, when you look at everyone else they've added in, I have some bit of film. I have some bit of tape. I have something that I can say, this is how he will be utilized. I don't have that with Crutchfield. It's not a crutch. It's actually a blessing in disguise, depending on how they utilize him and how he is able to continue to grow and develop as a wide receiver.
No, I agree with you.
But let us know in the comment section down below. What do you think of Courtney Crutchfield heading on back to Fayetteville? Like, review, hit subscribe. Make sure that you're following us on all the social channels. Link is in the description. Follow Dave at Mach 10 Sports. Me and Miss Cole Thompson. Check out all of our great work found at SECUnfiltered.com. For Dave Shumate, I'm Cole Thompson. Hog City, you got a wide receiver coming back to the state. Peace.